Nathan, Mr. Bag and Tag Jones, welcome to The Healthy Beast.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's lovely to have you here. There's so many things I want to talk to you about. So you're a well-respected MMA fighter, or cage fighter, as people still call it. I've seen you choke someone out in Bellator, which is like the biggest organisation in the world after the UFC. But I probably know you most as a martial arts teacher. And you've just become a dad. Congratulations, 8 weeks ago.
Thank you.
And if anyone is prepared for fatherhood, because I've seen how patient you are with these kids, and I could never do it.
Yeah, I teach martial arts to young people. That does require patience and practice, and it's something that I've developed, and I've been working with young people young people as a youth worker for about 15 years, and teaching martial arts young people teaching martial arts for about 8 years now.
Oh, so you taught other things to kids before?
Yeah, so before the martial arts, I was a generic youth worker, sessional worker, after school activities, that sort of thing, working in schools as well. And then due to circumstances and stuff, I changed tact and went into martial arts and carried on my skills with my interests and teaching young people now.
So were you already doing martial arts as a kid, or did you?
No, funnily enough, I was quite a late bloomer, a late starter. I started when I was 23.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
33 now. And I know you couldn't tell.
You're a young looking man, you're a fine looking man. Although you do look a bit different. We've both got a little bit of a lockdown.
Yeah, I've got a lockdown. On. Yeah, my hair is a mess at the moment. But as soon as I can, I'm going to get down to the barber and get a trim.
Yeah. No, because I've taught a tiny amount over the years, and I knew that although I find it rewarding, I just wasn't sure I'd have the patience for it. And now having my own children, they might tell a different story. I try and be patient with them, but you've just about got the energy to do that. The idea of doing it, it's the day in, day out thing, because I've seen someone mentioning no names. Not all the kids are easy.
No, they're not. I mean, when I'm teaching, it's a different capacity to actually being a parent, because I can give them back after an hour or 2 hours, or and I'll see them again in a couple of days' time. But obviously, when they're at home with you 24/7, it's a different story. But 8 weeks, my daughter is now, so I'm looking forward to it and enjoying each day so far.
So you had a little girl 8 weeks ago.
Yeah. What? Straight out of lockdown.
Yeah, it must be weird. It must be really weird having.
Very weird, but I think I wouldn't change it, because it's the time that I have had has been special. I mean, it's not been great not being able to see close friends and family and having that support. However, being at home and having to stay at home is been great for that father-daughter bonding time, and with my partner being a family. Well, I would have taken paternity leave, but that would have expired after 2 weeks, and I would have been back into the mix. And I'm a quite an active person, so I've just been at home and enjoying it.
I suppose that's the thing. People, I guess all of us during lockdown, you look at other people and you think this must be hard, this must be hard. Obviously, if people losing elderly relatives and stuff, that stuff's terrible. But for having a baby, I suppose in a way, it's quite nice because you want to spend all that time.
No, definitely.
Leaving everyone else out of it and just concentrating on you.
100%, and it's been a nice family bubble from that point of view. Don't get me wrong, I am looking forward to getting out of lockdown and getting back to normal everyday life, but I've come this far and I'm still smiling.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, because having had kids in normal times, those 2 weeks of paternity leave, it's 5 minutes. And I really remember, it's straight over. And I remember heading back into work feeling really guilty, because I had an office job at the time. And my daughter was born. And heading off into work, kind of feeling like I was abandoning them, and just leaving them to it. Although, I have to be said, because getting out, as we're all realising during lockdown, we need to get out.
No, for sure. Is your mental health held up? I mean, my beacon of light has been my daughter Evan, just to think, right, I'm doing it for her. But I mean, in terms of my mental health, my positive outlook, has been tested at times. Just I feel, as a professional athlete, being at home, I feel locked in a cage. I feel like a dog locked in a cage. This is how I feel, I've got all this pent up, I wouldn't say aggression as such, but energy that I need to get out. And I'm sure it's the same up and down the country. A lot of people that need to get their daily release of exercise, or go back to their normal habits and routines that they can't normally do. I love practicing martial arts, jiu-jitsu, very close contact, and I haven't been able to do that how I used to, for a good best part of 3 months now. So
that's the thing for anyone, for all of us who are into martial arts, and particularly jiu-jitsu. You hear all these discussions about when we will be able to do this or that again, and whether it's 2 meters or 1 meter and all this. And all we're thinking is there's no gap in martial. There's no gap in jiu-jitsu. You've got it's a thing that probably puts a lot of people off is you get physical contact with people sweating on you. It's not necessarily it's not what we do it for. It's not most of us, but it is a part of it, and so you can't really. There's no potential for doing it properly with any kind of social distancing.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think a positive that will come from it is everybody's hygiene will be heightened and stuff. So that's always a good thing. But obviously we've got to come out the other end and get back to training.
Have you managed to train riding a bike? Train at home?
Yeah, I've done some bits and pieces. I mean, it took me a month to get a couple of kettlebells, and they're out the box.
Okay, good.
The kettlebells are out the box. I've done a few bits and pieces just to, just to get a sweat on, but nothing like it was before. Just before going into lockdown, I had a fight, and for that I'll be training 2-3 times a day, 5-6 times a week. So
because I'm right in saying because the UFC's been doing these behind closed doors events.
Yeah.
Oh, you did one before they did, didn't you? You did a behind closed doors.
So on the 20th of March, Cage Warriors 113. It was supposed to be in London in the Indigo O2. I sold like 80 tickets, had all my friends and family ready to, and my supporters ready to support me. And fight week, it got relocated to Manchester behind closed doors. So that was a big shift and a big difference. But shows are taking place. However, me as a fighter, as an athlete, I don't want to put myself out there and perform if I can't train properly, So I need to train first before I get out and
yeah, that's it, I guess, isn't it? That people will be fighting and not had their normal training camps.
No, exactly. I think, I know now athletes can get elite status, so professional athletes can get back to training, but I'm just taking it a bit easy because this virus has affected a lot of us, and it is still out there, is still rife, and with my baby daughter, just taking a little bit longer just for me to get back into training myself. But in the next couple of weeks, I'll be back as much as I can be.
So is it a question of kind of picking selected training partners, other professional athletes, something like that? And
no doubt. I mean, the research that I've done at the moment for stage 2, for elite sports to get back in, you need like a designated COVID officer, risk assessments. You need to make sure that you're temperature checking everybody, that you can sign like a declaration to say that I'm symptom free, and as soon as I am symptom free, I'll let everybody know. We'll be in a training pod. There's restrictions, like there'll be no showers at the gym, you can't hang around at the gym. Other restrictions like washing hands like regularly, like everything's got to be to the T in your selected pod. So that's the phase back, and it started at the top at elite sports. So hopefully we'll see a trickle down to get back to normality.
Yeah, I hope so. I think people might not realise. I mean, a gym like ours, what are we calling it now? Elevate Martial Arts and Strength.
That's the one.
There's professional athletes there like you, but also it's just a big, important community space. I think people go for the classes, but they go there to hang out. They come in when they're injured. To see people, and it's a very important part of the community.
100% agree. And for me, finding martial arts was great for my own self-esteem, mental health, and taking me to the next stage in my life. And I think it's the same for many of us out there. And I think had we been in a different time, or had we not had the current technology that we do, I think we'll be seeing people cope a lot harder. At least I can talk to somebody, using social media instantly, and multiple people can be connected. It's been tough, but it could be worse, which is my motto in life.
Well, I think I've always been impressed by, as well as your patience, is this positive attitude, and not just that, but the amount I was sometimes concerned with the amount I saw you working. You must be the hardest working man in the sport, because quite often they're at 7 a.m, so teaching jiu-jitsu or teaching private classes, and quite often they're at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
so.
no doubt. I mean, if you enjoy what you do, you won't have to work a day in your life, you know, and I enjoy what I do. So yes, it's work. I love teaching and I love helping clients, but it's something that's within me, you know, to get up early and to get it done. But being self-employed, you've got to take the work as it comes, you know, for bad times like this. So I've had to work, you know, all that grinding that I did do, you know, at least I can hibernate for a little bit now. And then when we come out of this, even it out slightly.
Yeah, have you managed to do much teaching on Zoom and things like that? Or because you've got must have quite a lot of private clients that you've had for a long time.
No doubt. So still teaching for Elevate online. So we're teaching the boxing, teaching the kickboxing. I've not been doing any of the jiu-jitsu. It's quite difficult because you need to be quite. You can do it, and there are things to do, but I've just been focusing on the striking. I've got a few clients that I teach online as well. Whether it's fitness, whether it's technique, or just, you know, holistic mindset and nutrition. Still been active. There are still things that we can do, you know. So just been keeping it ticking over. Yeah,
you sort of wonder what it would have been like if we didn't have the technology. Because I tend to be one of those people who's a bit down on technology. Not that I think we should get rid of it and it's terrible, but I think, you know, I see people to my mind using it too much. You know, I think you see people that are in their phones too much and that they don't look up enough. But of the flip side of that is, imagine going through all of this without technology.
No, exactly. I mean, if you look at previous epidemics, it can be done. It has been done. We've got through, but I just couldn't see myself, you know, without my phone now, especially with technology, with the epidemic and with technology. It's just so useful to communication, you know. So I'm glad I'm in this time as opposed to any other time, you know.
Yeah, but I guess probably in another time they'd have just let it rip through.
Possibly, yeah.
And there are people who think that was what we should have done.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad, who was on last week, was one of those. He's 78 and a retired doctor, and he was of the opinion that for the damage it's done to the economy, and which is, as you know, we have no way of measuring how bad it's going to be, but for the damage it's done, it's not worth, in his words, saving people like him who are getting on. I'm just, you know, those are his words, not mine. I always want the best for my parents, of course. You know, his argument was that maybe it should have been, and probably in times before we had these phones, it probably would have torn through and done its worst. And the problem is we've no way of knowing how bad that would have been.
No, for sure. But it's good to have conversations like this and to think about it and speculate. It makes you more grateful, you know, for what we do have, and me going back to my positive outlook, because I always, you know, otherwise I'll be cursing, pulling my hair out. So I've always tried to look at the positive and think it could always be worse, you know. And I am grateful for what I do have, even my little family bubble. You know what I mean? It helps the days go past, you know.
I think it's the only way through. I think there will sadly be people who are affected very badly by this, both, you know, their finances, their mental health and so forth. But I think most of the people I talk to, they think you feel a bit like your back's against the wall because so much is taken away from you, and it forces you to think, okay, well, what can I do? What have I got within my power? And all I can do to stop myself going crazy is get through every day and like think, right, well, I've got to make sure I try and eat well today. I've got to make sure I do some exercise and make sure I'm not horrible to my family, which is, you know, when you're all stuck in, those four of us stuck in a house together, you have moments when tempers fray. But it's sort of managing that and just one step at a time, do good things, you know.
No, definitely.
Don't open a bottle of wine at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's never a good idea, you know, just a little healthy steps. And you think, as you say, you can't predict exactly what's going to happen. You don't know where our employment's going to be a year from now, but what we can control is now and keeping ourselves healthy for now.
No, definitely. I don't know how many series of Netflix I've watched, and you know, I've watched more series than read books, but you know, I've had time to do that, and I've had time to tick off the to-do list. So
it's always easy to stick on the telly now. That's the thing.
No, that's it.
I try and I just try and, the things that might be perceived as negative, I just try and push them later and later in the day. So you know, if you're going to kind of eat badly, have a drink, watch rubbish TV, the later you start, at least then
I like that.
You've got the rest of the day's been doing hopefully productive things.
No, for sure. I like that.
Yeah. Go back to, I didn't realise you'd started martial arts so late.
Yeah.
Actually, so that must mean, so when I met you 6 years ago, something like that, you were only 4 or 5 years in?
Yeah.
Were you a sportsman before?
No, not at all. I mean, fortunately for me, growing up, my mother got me doing lots of positive activities when I was younger. So swimming, I went to clubs, played football, played the violin, went to gymnastics, you know what I mean? All these different activities as a kid, my mum got me to do. So I've tried little things, horse riding, you know, water sports, this, and you know what I mean, and even did the taekwondo for about 2 months, just, you know, oh, you have a go. But as soon as I could stop it, I did all my activities, and I look back and I think now martial arts is the only thing that I've carried on doing. But it's a shelf life sport. So when I started late, you look at football, you look at boxing, their academies, they pick out their youth stars from young. You know, so I thought I'd missed the boat. So I was like, well, if it's a shelf life sport, I need to give it 110%. So from the age of 23, I was in the gym, grinding, learning, putting myself out there on the big stages, and win or lose, it didn't bother me. I just wanted to keep doing. And within the 10 years that I've been training, I feel I've got so much out of it, you know, and so much so that I want to keep going, but also share the messages and the lessons that I've learned. Do you know what I mean? And pass it through when I'm teaching my clients, when I'm teaching my students, you know, so everyone can get something from martial arts.
I think you do it brilliantly. I think it's important to add, when you said it's got a shelf life, you're talking there about being a professional.
Yeah, competition, yeah.
Because I'm in my, I forgot how old I was then, that's terrible, 46, and I think a lot of guys my age, you sort of think you might play golf or something, but you want to give up on anything though, you might get hurt. But for me, jiu-jitsu, I see it as a thing I want to do forever.
No, definitely.
You know, I'd done a bit when I was younger, and I'd done other martial arts, but properly jiu-jitsu now, I didn't start till I was 41. And yeah, you feel the injuries more as you get older, for definite. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I think this lockdown's been good for. I've been able to heal. So all the niggles that you get, and so I just doing low impact stuff and doing yoga, I felt that the positive I'll take for it is that the niggles that you never quite get to heal when you're training hard. I'm sure as soon as I go back training, I'll pick up a few more.
Yeah, for sure. No, but I agree with you. I've had time myself to let things heal. The only thing I want to do is get back to practicing those techniques, because if you don't use it, you lose it, you know. And I saw something on BJJ Fanatics yesterday. It was a picture of a horse, and it was like, this is your jiu-jitsu before lockdown, and it had gradients, you know what I mean? So from it being like a fine art, perfect picture, all the way down to like a children's crayon drawing, you know what I mean? This is how I feel my jiu-jitsu's going, and you know, if I don't use it, you know, I mean, I'm going to regress, you know. But that made me chuckle.
Yeah, there's lots of people worried they're basically going to be white belts again.
Yeah, all over again. However, on the flip side of that, I've picked up new hobbies as well. So I've been doing an online art class.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Which is actually quite it's light-hearted. I'm not, you know, I don't want to become an artist or anything, but I take joy in it because I'm doing something for me. You know what I mean? That has no consequence on my work or whatever. It's just my time. I'm, you know what I mean, out of the house, or I'm in the house, but my mind is just on this picture, so my little form of escapism.
No, you need those. I was talking to a psychologist friend of mine, and she was saying you can break down your activities into different things. Things can be purely entertainment, like for us watching Netflix, but that has to be only a certain proportion of the day, because the rest of the things need to be either they're productive, so you're working, earning some money in some way. It's closeness to others, so you can do anything that involves being close with your kid or anything like that's great. Or it has to be mastery of something. And if it's one of those things, it's great because it's psychologically beneficial. And yeah, learning to master things is great. This keyboard here has come out. I played the piano a bit as a kid. Yeah. And because my kids are learning, it seems like the time to sort of start picking it up again. For sure. Because if you hear a 7-year-old do a half decent tune, you think, well, I'm gonna go. See, I've been doing guitar and
it's good
playing piano, and anything like that is just, you find that the more you fill your day with those things that are productive, closeness or mastery, and leave the pissing around to the small proportion of the day.
It's true. I've got to keep reminding myself to do the same thing, because otherwise, you know, once I open my phone, I'll be on my phone or playing a silly game, you know, these online games and stuff. So
Oh yeah, I had to ban myself from video games a few years ago because I would find myself just get sucked into them.
Yeah.
And,
easily done.
Yeah, and you just, if they're on your phone, it's terrible. I remember when Angry Birds came out, and that's not. It was a really weird, rubbish game, but so weirdly addictive. And I had it on my phone, and you'd be sitting down away from the family, and you think, what am I doing? A grown man playing this ridiculous child's game.
You're not the only one, I'll tell you. 2 hours later, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's when you really feel like you've let yourself down.
No, exactly. My motto, it could be worse.
Yeah,
you know?
Always could be worse. I wanted to ask you as well about the contrast between the two sides of you that I mentioned. So, very patient kids teacher, and then to be a fighter, it's not just about learning techniques. You've got to have that grit. And I'll say this before you have a chance to die, but that sort of, you have to have the ability to hurt somebody.
Yeah,
right?
no,
and you have to have something of that in you. And I've rolled with you, and you do have. You seem like a lovely, smiling man now, but you have that. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a nice way of saying it, but that little extra. This
facial expression is giving me.
I'm talking about the little elbows and stuff like that.
Well, the way I look at it, Rich, is if it's either me or you. Do you know what I mean? So if I don't do it to you, you're gonna do it to me, and you can do it to, you know what I mean? So
no, but I'm sure you need that, and I think people that don't do martial arts, they might see it as it's difficult. They try and picture someone as one thing. You know,
no, definitely.
Or he's a kind gentleman, or he's a mean man. But it's possible to have the side of you that you need.
Yeah.
For emergencies, or to be a fighter, or whatever it is, that side of you that you need to have, hopefully kept locked away for emergencies, or for your job in your case. Yeah. And then the other side, the loving father and the kind teacher. And I think, because whenever I mention MMA to people that don't understand it, then they say cage fighting, as I did. In speech marks like that, they sort of think, so.
Yeah, and you know, and there is stigma attached to being a cage fighter, and it wouldn't be something that I would identify with. I would say, oh, I'm a cage fighter for you to understand what I do in that sense, but it wouldn't be my choice of words. I'd like to say that I'm an athlete or, you know, a mixed martial artist. And you're right, there are two sides to me. Nathan Jones, that stand-up guy, and Mr. Bag and Tag, you know what I mean? And again, if it's you or me, because when I fight, I'm actually scared, you know, and I'm scared, and I put myself in that position to rise above it, you know, and like all these snakes and spiders, they're the most dangerous when they feel threatened. And I think that's what brings that out of me, you know, when I'm in competition and obviously training, I've got to train with that mindset that I'm in danger, you know. So having those two sides allows me to release, because you live your life, you've got your stressful day, everything gets down, and then you step onto the mat, you can forget everything, and it's that your time, you know. And then you finish your session, you bow out, you can go back to your day, and I love that. And I think it's healthy to have the two distinct sides, so you can switch in and switch out, or check in and check out, you know, when required. That's me, you know.
No, but I think people also think that if people fight professionally, amateur, or whatever, they're also going to be more likely to be aggressive people. And my experience of the people I've met is, if you're out with a group of people who do martial arts, you feel no chance of getting into any trouble, because these are people that understand that it's not something you do in the pub, and it's something you have to avoid at all times. The people who, again, this is my experience, but the people who are more likely to get you into a fight are people who don't know how to fight. Because
100%.
they maybe watched it in a film and they think they can do it, or they've never done it and they feel they want to prove something. But again, my experience of people who know how to fight won't want to do it.
No, exactly.
You'll get exceptions to that always, you know. And if one MMA fighter gets in a fight, you'll hear about it, because
it's bad press.
Bad apple. Yeah. But I think in general, they're people who they don't want to go out. And why would you want to go and have a fight with some drunk accountant when you're in a pub? It would be just no exactly. Challenge for you, and just only bad can come of it.
No, exactly. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I like teaching young people martial arts, and why I encourage young people to do martial arts, is to have that that kind of conflict resolution within themselves. No, I don't need to rise above it. I don't need to retaliate, or I know what the consequences to my actions can be. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's not going to end up nice for them, or I'm going to get in trouble for what I've done, you know. So teaching this to young people from an early age is only a good thing, you know. And I think since I've started martial arts, like you're saying, I haven't been into any conflict for the reasons that you gave. It's just a lot easier, a quieter way to take a deep breath and play, you know, take the higher ground as such. For me, fighting or martial arts is done in the gym, you know, or on the stage, and that's where I keep it, you know. And I get my young people to do the same, because if they feel that they don't need to use their martial arts, they're less likely to get involved into gangs or get involved into anti-violent crime. I believe that martial arts can give them that kind of like that kind of sense of home, that sense of family. You know, you wouldn't want to get yourself in trouble because you don't want your parents to find out. The same way you don't want your coach to find out. Do you know what I mean? Or if you get in trouble, you can't do your martial arts. Do you know what I mean? And that's like an anchorage. But I like my martial arts, but, you know, don't not let me do it. Vice versa, like if you get in trouble and you go to prison, well, you can't do your martial arts. Do you know what I mean? What makes you you? So I'm an advocate for martial arts in a positive way.
It does seem that the view of it in terms of kids has changed a lot. And that when I was a kid, there were karate classes around, but you had to go and find them. Mm-hmm. Whereas now they're in the school, they actually come into schools and teach, and, you know, gyms like ours, tons of kids coming in every day. So it's not this kind of marginalised thing that you have to go and seek out. It's there for everyone to do.
100%. That's been one of my main mission goals to do, is to offer martial arts as an alternative to everybody, because you don't want to separate people from those that can afford it, those that can't afford it, you know. So as part of my business in the bag, my my coaching business, we've been seeking funding and getting it out to the local schools in the borough. So it's not just in the gym, but we'll go out into the wider community to give everybody a chance to see what it's about and to make their decisions if they want to continue themselves, you know.
Something I meant to ask you before and I forgot. You talked about fear.
Yeah.
And that, I'm particularly thinking of that last fight you had behind closed doors. Is there a particular point it hits you?
Yeah, every single time. Well, there's a few. Okay, and I'll walk you through it. I get the contract, right? You're fighting this person. I'm like, oh my god, this person. You look them up on YouTube or Google, whatever. You see who they've fought, how they've won, and your mind starts playing tricks on you. It's like, oh my god, do I sign the contract? And obviously you got to sign the contract, because the way I see it, I'm the man, you know, I'm a fighter, so I'm going to sign it. So that's the first part where I'm a bit scared, and where things can play up on me. You watch their videos and their highlight reels, and then, you know, gearing up to the fight, you'll do interviews or you know, you document your training, and they'll do the same. People are sharing it and you'll see it pop up, and your mind plays tricks on you. Well, they're training and they're doing this and that, like, what I have to do, you know, and you doubt yourself, and you might have a bad training session because everybody has a bad day, you know, and that plays on you. Coming up to fight week, you weigh in, and they're there in front of you. You know that for the last 8 weeks, all they've been doing is their sole focus was training to take you out. And that's quite scary, especially when you look at some of these guys. You know, they're big and they're ugly and they're just scary. You know, and yeah, I'm in that category as well. I'm big, ugly, and scary as well. But it's like that threat, because the risks are real, and it just plays on you. But I only really switch on once my hands are being wrapped. That's when it's go time. Obviously, I've done all the hard training and preparation, but that's when I allow my adrenaline to take over. Because otherwise, if I allow it way before but I have an adrenaline dump, I'll burn out. You know, so once my hands are raised, I start going, I warm up, and then that cage door shuts. And they're like, you ready? Fight. That's when I like switch on. It's like, okay, wow, he's coming at me now. And then it's the fight. And that's, you know, then you can't really think What if it's like it's you or it's me?
So by that time you're loose. By that time you're not.
Yeah.
Fear's gone by then.
100% ready, you know. And as a fighter, you kind of got to, you know, I see myself as a modern day warrior, like a gladiator, because they were doing similar things, and it's almost like I've got to prepare myself that I'm not coming back. I've got to prepare myself to give it everything that I've got, you know, because the risks are real, and if I don't do it, they're gonna win, or I'm gonna get hurt, you know. When I flip that on myself, then it becomes different between winning and losing. It's like living or dying kind of thing, you know.
Because do you really think of it in those extreme terms?
To convince myself that I'm having a fight, you know. And this is in black and white. It's like he's trying to hurt me, you know. The cameras are on, the crowd's there, you know, and it's like you've got to perform. So I have like a mantra that I say to myself. I repeat. It's like. It's my time to shine. I do this every day, bag and tag. I literally just repeat that in my head. It's like, as weird as it sounds, that's how it's weird that it just works. I just get so hyped up, and I look at myself in the mirror, and it's like I'm looking at somebody else. That's Mr. Bag and Tag. You know, I'm psyched up.
So you haven't fought since having your daughter, but has it changed your outlook to doing it at all? Or?
Yeah, if anything, the stakes are even higher now, because that same reason, it's like I'm doing it for my family, you know, and that was one of the reasons why I ended up doing the fight. I wanted to pull out of the fight. Cage Warriors gave me the choice to pull out of the fight. So we're going 10 days before we were all locked down. So it's 10 days before lockdown. They said, look. Closing the event, we're moving it. You don't have to fight if you don't want to, you know. And I said to myself, I don't want to fight, but I'm going to fight if my opponent wants to fight. If my opponent doesn't want to fight, there's no fight. Do you know what I mean? But I will fight because I signed on the dotted line, and my opponent signed on the dotted line. He's making the effort. He came from France, so as Europe was locking down at different stages, we didn't know if the fight was going to go ahead, if he was going to get to the country or be able to get back home, you know. So all these things were, you know, going on in my head, but that's why I knew I had to make it count, because I had my family to get back to. Do you know what I mean? So that was an important fight for me. It was a tough fight for me. I didn't win. What was different was that there wasn't a crowd, and I wouldn't say it was because of the crowd, because you know, but I felt that was different because I couldn't vibe off the crowd, knowing that I had my people there shouting my name, or people reacting to me getting him or him getting me. You know what I mean? It was a surreal feeling.
Presumably, unlike normally, you could hear the coaches. And then you do have one coach in there. So
yeah, I had two cornermen. The good thing is I could hear them perfectly.
Yeah, because
you know, and you know, like all the acoustic sounds, like the cage like banging and people shouting and the claxton going, they're amplified. But and it was surreal. The best way is put it was surreal. There was no one in the audience, but I knew that there was millions of people at home watching, because that was the only live event happening in the world at that time. You know, a bit of pressure. You know, I feel like I didn't.
Yeah, because it was on Fight Pass, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on the Fight Pass, and no other sport events happened that day. So I didn't put the event on the pedestal or anything, but you know, the risk of me taking that fight, the reward was that everyone could see me do what I love to do, you know. So whether I win or lose, it's all, you know, I'm always moving on. So
yeah, I guess it's that thing. It's not like UFC 2 where, you know, there's one bloke who could do this and one bloke who couldn't do that. These days, the game's evolved so much that everyone's got a pretty rounded game, haven't they? You know, so you're up against people, as you say, who are doing exactly what you're doing, training like you are to beat you, just as you are to beat them.
No, definitely. But I think that's the beauty of it being a sport, because it's competitiveness. You know, we all want to win, and the competitiveness brings the martial arts spirit out of us to be the best that we can be. It's put me on a everlasting journey, you know, and I enjoy it, and I want to, you know, get that message out there. That's why I'm here talking to you. That's why I'm there teaching the classes in the gym, just so everybody can get that something.
Do you ever think about how long you'll fight for, or how many fights would you?
I've thought about that, initially, when I stepped into the gym, I didn't want to be a fighter. I'm not a fighter. Do you know what I mean? And it was like a gimmick. Oh, okay, I'll have one fight on the bucket list and go on then. It was like that. And then, did that, enjoyed it. And I was like, well, okay, how far can I take this? How good can I be? I won't know unless I do it. So I said to myself, right, cool. Yeah, I want 10 fights, 10 professional fights, enough, get some money behind me, get a mortgage. And, that was the plan. I did the 10 fights, didn't have the money for the mortgage. I was like, well, I need to do 20 fights. And, I've got myself up to 23 fights. I've said to myself, I've got about 4 more years left in me at my peak, compete in professional MMA. So I've got about another 3-4 more years. So 10 more, up to 30 fights. That'll be me. Okay. And then I can continue with my legacy of coaching, training people. I think I want to stop when I'm at the top, when I still can fight. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to keep going until I can't anymore. So I think 3 more years. So 36 is a good time to retire, where I get more than enough experience, and I'll know I've let the story unfold for itself, and I'll know where I can get to, But, touch wood, I can keep going, stay healthy.
I suppose that's the main thing. Also, the weight you fight at, because you're quite a big lad and you fight at 170 pounds, so 12 stone 2. What's it in kilos? Is
77 kilos.
77. And what do you normally?
Not now, not with the isolation weight, but normally I'll walk around 85 to 87 kilos. So I'll cut 10 kilos.
10 kilos.
As standard.
Which is a lot.
It's a lot, but in relative terms, it's not a lot compared to what other guys within my weight class will cut. We cut weight because we want to be at the top of the weight class. You want that advantage of being that bigger, stronger person. But it's got to the point now, everybody cuts weight. So we cut weight to keep within competition. So I'm fighting somebody my size. Otherwise, I'll fight somebody that's prepared to cut a ton of weight that will be much bigger than me, and that's not a good day.
It's worth saying that of those 10 kilos, I never see you not what most people would consider lean. But so presumably you're losing some fat and then all the water.
Yeah.
You lean up, and then, but also then you do this big. I had Alfie on. He was talking me through it. Sounds horrendous.
Yeah.
The water cut. Basically dehydrate yourself to the point of, and I don't want to say it, but to the point of death. These fighters do, and then you weigh in looking like a ghost. Then you rehydrate and go and fight the next day. Yeah,
unfortunately, that's what it's like for weighted sports. And the way I look at it is that's what we get paid for. We get paid to make the weight. That's the uncomfortable part. That's the part that has to be done. We fight for free.
Is that the worst? Sorry, you fight for free?
Yeah, but I'm getting paid to make the weight.
Because that's the money shot. That's the bit you need.
Yeah, that's the uncomfortable part. That's the requirement. Every single fighter getting into combat sports has started off competing for free, and we do it because we love it. Especially when you compare mixed martial arts to boxing, where the pay salaries are disparative, but the people are still doing it. Mixed martial arts is still a growing sport because people love to do it. And me as a professional fighter, I do it because I love it, not because I have to do it, but because I genuinely just love it.
Is the cutting weight the worst part then?
Yes.
You'd say yes.
Getting hit in the face isn't fun, but I like to do the hitting as opposed to getting hit. Touch wood, I keep doing that.
I have to say with the weight cutting, because I was saying what a positive force you are around the gym. There is an exception to that, and that's when we get grumpy, Nathan.
Yeah.
Because everyone, I see you. I can see you across the gym, and I know you're cutting weight, not from your body, but from like.
I feel tired, I'm grumpy, my tolerance level's low, I'm unenthusiastic. I mean, like you and all the others at the gym that are around me know what it's like now, but for new people to me, or if you only met me like once or twice before, you think like, what's up with that guy? But it genuinely is how I feel inside. I'm not very good at hiding my emotions most of the time, but on a calorie deficit at the same time still having to train harder than you would normally because you're getting ready for a fight. It's quite tough, you know.
Yeah, and because you often carry on working as well, right? So you're still teaching.
So I'll be teaching,
and not eating, and not drinking water.
Yeah, so I've got it, but that's the thing. I've had over 20 fights now, so I've got the cutting weight down to an art. So I know how it feels. I know what I need to do when I need to do it, and I'm getting better at managing my emotions, but at the same time managing the whole process so I can still work, and I'll work up until 2-3 days before the fight where it will be specific fight prep for cutting the weight. It is what it is. It's part and parcel, you know. There's occupational hazards to the job. Getting injured and cutting weight are those.
So there's injuries, tearing things and stuff, but in terms of getting punched in the head, is that something you think about, head trauma? And
no.
Do you have to not think about it? Is that
okay, best way to look at it is I'm old enough to know better, but young enough to not give a fuck. Is how I see it. You know. Yeah, you're right. There is the risk of head trauma, but at the same time, on the other side of the coin, there are a lot of other things you could be doing with a higher risk of injury. You know. For example, I look at my friends that play football, you know, Sunday league football or whatever, and they're getting this torn, that torn, pulled this, and it's like, what? It's technically not a contact sport. Do you know what I mean? And then here I am, contact sport with the sole purpose of inflicting damage. I'm receiving damage. I'm, you know, again, touch wood, fingers crossed, I've not sustained as many injuries, you know. For that sense, my body clock's still pretty good. Maybe it's because I'm specifically training my body to take the damage, and I'm bracing myself for that damage. You know, if somebody was to push you from behind, you get whiplash because you're not expecting it. But if somebody punches you in the face and you can see it coming, you can tense yourself, you know. So that sense of things, you're less likely to get hurt, you know.
Have you had concussions?
Yeah, I've had concussions. I've been knocked out, and I think that's probably the worst of it. I've had people getting knocked out in rugby. I've had people getting hit by a car just crossing the road. You know what I mean? So when you put, you know, or I've had people that have come down with other illnesses. So I just say live and let live. Understand the risks and train accordingly. Train safely. You know, it's not about having wars in the gym or tuffles with your training partners unless it's agreed upon and you're getting ready for a fight, you know. But generally speaking, you've got to train and look after your partner, work together. I've been fortunate to have good training partners and good coaches to have a pleasant training experience.
We were talking about fighters not fighting anywhere but the gym or the ring. When you were a kid, was it different? Did you ever get in scuffles as a boy? You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. I always think about the back, you know. Yeah, there is the making of the fighter even before they do martial arts, because a lot of fighters tell the story of that it was a turning point for them because they used to, but then they stopped. I wondered if
for me, I haven't been in trouble with the police, and I've had altercations, so I have been in fights, but there was more, I was attacked as opposed to, you know, I'm going out, I'm going to have trouble, me and you, we're going to do this, we're going to meet behind the park. You know, there was none of that in my life. Just being attacked, I think I was attacked 4 times in my life. 5 times. I can think of maybe 6, I don't know. Really? But little childhood, well, for me, when I look back, it's childhood, it's youth activity. And the turning point for me was that I was jumped. I was jumped by about 3 or 4 youths from behind after a night out, and I had to run away. You know, I managed to get away, but I thought, wow, if they caught me, you know, I would not know what to do, wouldn't know where to start. And I'll tell you what, I'm so tired from running away, I wouldn't even have the energy, you know, to defend myself. So that next Monday, I was down the gym.
Okay, so that was it.
That was the turning point for me.
This is when you were 23. You had a near miss from what could have been a very horrible hiding.
That's it. And I think I needed that. Not that everybody needs that, but everybody needs something in their life to just make them stop, make them think, and to switch that light switch on. And that was my thing, where it's like, right, be proactive. You know, there's 2 ways you can take this. You know, that whole thing of fight and flight. do I become a victim and never go out of my house, or do I learn how to defend myself? So if that was to happen again, I'll know how to respond, you know. And I took the proactive way and got myself down the gym, and luckily I haven't had an altercation since. Whether that's because people see my cauliflower ears or they recognise me on TV, I don't know. You know, but you know,
I think I've got a nice cauliflower ear is a good sobering look for someone who maybe hasn't thought things through.
Hey, some chicks dig it, man.
Yeah, he's got cauliflower. I'm going to leave it.
Exactly. It's not worth the hassle, really. You know what I mean? So and again, what I was speaking about before, what martial arts has taught me to take a deep breath, to have that compassion. I don't need to rise to the challenge as such, you know, and you know, go about the rest of my day, and my life's been a lot more peaceful without these unwanted altercations, you know, when I was growing up.
So was it kind of serious stuff? Was it serious related stuff, or was it anything to do with what made you become a youth worker?
No, I mean, growing up, I've had trouble at school. Like being bullied and stuff, not quite fitting in. Grew up in a single parent household, so there's the way I look at it. I'm just a big kid, you know. I've never like fully grown up. I've always been light-hearted in that approach and been able to relate to young people because I've got that little boy within inside, you know. And it's just kind of like fell hand in hand with it, and I've just carried it on. It's something that I like doing, something that I get job satisfaction from, and something that I believe I'm good at, you know. So I haven't looked back since.
From what I've seen, you're amazing at it, Nathan. I'm sure you are, and
thank you.
And you're travelling down to the coast. You go down to Southampton, is it?
So as part of my coaching, I do offer workshops and seminars, and I've been all over up and down the country. I've been to Southampton. So within the last 12 months, I've been to Southampton for Next Generation Martial Arts, taught the seminar there. I've been to Romford as well, taught bushing. Been over to Dublin, taught over in Dublin, and the Basque. I was over in the Basque country teaching, taught a couple of seminars over there as well. So it's been busy, it's been full on, and I love it.
So as soon as this is all over, there'll be no shortage of people who wanting you to come and train with them.
I hope so. Do you know what I mean? I want to get back to how things were, not only just for my training, but for everybody else's as well, to be able to train and stuff. And
I think we're going to appreciate. I mean, not that we didn't appreciate it before, but I think we're going to appreciate it so much
100%.
more. It's been taken away from us. We never thought. We always knew you could have it taken away from you individually. You can get injured. You know, I had a terrible year with injuries last year. Then you do, but you don't expect it to be taken away from everybody.
No, it's true. It's true. And I'll say this on record. You all right? I will never skip a warm-up again. The running around, I hate, even as much as I hate doing it, and everybody out there, hopefully you can relate, but, you know, we take it for granted, you know what I mean? And even certain partners that you would take for granted before, I don't want to go with them, or, but I want to just roll. You know, we've got to practice the techniques, we've got to do the warm-ups, I won't take it for granted again.
Yeah, you won't waste anything. You won't waste the opportunity.
No, exactly.
When the opportunity's there. Well, hopefully it won't be too long. Nathan, where can people find you? So you're in the bag?
Yeah, so Mr. Bag and Tag is my handle on social media. My training is In the Bag PTC.
Everyone understands In the Bag. I mean, if just in case they didn't, it's what they do when they kill people.
Yes,
in the army, isn't it? Just it's nice, delicate.
Bag and you tag them. Do you know what I mean?
Kill him
But this is the thing. So I've got Bag and Tag. That's my name. You bag them and you tag them. So that's on the side. And then when I'm doing my youth work, and I can't say you got to bag and tag them. So I've called my company In the Bag as a positive slant.
I get it, In the Bag, yeah.
So it's in the bag, it's the back of the net. It's in the bag.
In the bag without necessarily being dead.
Exactly. You've got a positive outcome, and you've done it, and it's in the bag.
Amazing. Brilliant, Nathan. I love your work.
Can't
wait to see you fight again. Can't wait to see you teach again. Can't wait to see you back in the gym.
Thank you very much.
Nathan Jones, Mr. Bag and Tag. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks again to Nathan Jones. Nathan is Mr. Bag and Tag on Instagram and all other social media. His personal training business is In the Bag PTC. That's In the Bag and then P for performance, T for training, C for coaching. Talking of training, if you look at In the Bag PTC, Nathan's got lots of videos showing you how you can train in the comfort of your own home before we can all get back in the gym. Thanks for listening. Healthy Beast will be back next Friday.